Chosen one, listen carefully. 87% of spiritual attacks start like this. God told me to expose your enemies' watch before it's deleted. You're not paranoid. They really have been coming for you. If you've felt the fake smiles, weird tension, drop justice now. They smiled in your face, but moved in silence. You felt the stares, the blocked opportunities, and deep down, you whispered, "Why does my light threaten them?" Let me tell you, you're not broken. You're not crazy. You're under divine attack, not for what you've done, but for who you're called to be. Smash like right now. This video is a spiritual weapon. The more likes, the faster God exposes who's behind your delays. Stay till the end. Truth is coming, the reality they don't want you to seal. Let me paint you a picture that might feel uncomfortably familiar. You walk into your workplace and conversations stop, not because you're late, not because you're loud, but because your very presence seems to disrupt something. You might not understand it, but others feel it immediately. There's an energy around chosen ones that makes people react. Some are drawn to it like moths to a flame, others ... Others feel threatened by it in ways they can't even explain to themselves. And here's where it gets interesting. And I want you to comment below if this resonates with you. Have you ever noticed that certain people seem to go out of their way to diminish your achievements? To question your motives? To plant seeds of doubt about your character? This isn't random. This isn't coincidence. This is what happens when someone carrying divine frequency enters a space filled with people operating on lower vibrations. The 3 types of people in your life when you're chosen. Every person in your circle falls into one of 3 categories. Type 1. The protectors. These are the people who seem to naturally shield you, even when they don't fully understand why. They feel compelled to defend you, to speak up for you, to create space for you to shine. These people are gifts, and if you have even one of these in your life, you're blessed. Type 2. The confused. These people are drawn to you, but don't know why. They want to be around you, they seek your advice, they feel better in your presence, but they can't quite put their finger on what makes you different. These people can become either protectors or attackers, depending on how they choose to handle their confusion. Type 3. The threatened. And then there are those who feel your light as a personal attack on their darkness. These people will smile to your face while working against you behind the scenes. They'll compliment you publicly while criticizing you privately. They'll ask for your help while secretly hoping you fail. Now, here's the part that might sting a little bit. You've probably been trying to win over the Type 3 South. You've probably been bending over backward, trying to prove yourself to people who are fundamentally threatened by your existence. But what if I told you that their discomfort isn't your problem to solve? What if I told you that their jealousy isn't your responsibility to manage? The silent attacks you've been experiencing. Let me get specific about what you've been facing. And as I go through this list, I want you to count how many of these you recognize. Gossip campaigns. Stories about you that somehow always paint you in a negative light, often based on misunderstandings or outright lies. Opportunity blocking. Doors that should open for you mysteriously, staying closed, often because someone behind the scenes influenced the decision. Energy. Vampirism. People who seem to drain you after every interaction, leaving you exhausted and questioning yourself. Gaslighting. Being made to feel crazy for noticing patterns, for trusting your intuition, for calling out what you clearly see. Isolation tactics. Slowly being excluded from groups, events, or conversations you were once part of. Credit stealing. Your ideas, your work, your contributions being attributed to others or minimized. Reputation attacks. Subtle campaigns to make others question your character, your motives, or your credibility. If you recognize 3 or more of these, then you need to understand something. This isn't happening to you. This is happening because of you. Because of what you carry. Because of who you're destined to become. And the people orchestrating these attacks. They can sense your destiny even when you can't. The psychology of chosen one 80 is why they target you now. Let's get into the psychology of why this happens. Because understanding the why is what's going to set you free from taking it personally. When someone is chosen, they carry what I call future frequency. They vibrate at the level of their destiny, not their current circumstances. And sensitive. People, both good and bad, can feel this frequency. For some, it inspires them. They want to be part of your journey, to support your growth, to witness your transformation. But for others, your future frequency is a mirror that shows them everything they're not becoming. It highlights their own stagnation, their own fear, their own refusal to grow. And when people see their own limitations reflected in your potential, they have two choices: rise to match your energy or try to bring you down to theirs. Guess which one most people choose? The projection game. Here's something that will blow your mind. When people attack chosen ones, they're rarely attacking you for who you are. They're attacking you for who you remind them they could be. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was a chosen one who worked in a corporate environment. She was kind, hardworking, and had this natural ability to inspire others. But there was one co-worker, Michelle, who seemed to have it out for her. Michelle would undermine Sarah in meetings, spread rumors about her personal life, and even tried to take credit for Sarah's projects. Sarah couldn't understand it. She had never done anything to Michelle. But here's what Sarah didn't realize. Michelle had given up on her dreams years ago. She had settled for a job she hated, a relationship that didn't fulfill her, and a life that felt small. And every day, watching Sarah's natural optimism and quiet confidence, Michelle was reminded of the woman she used to be, the woman she still could be, if she had the courage to change. Sarah's very existence was a living, breathing reminder of Michelle's unlived life. So Michelle had a choice: be inspired by Sarah and start making changes, or try to dim Sarah's light so she wouldn't have to look at her own darkness. She chose to attack the jealousy frequency. Now, let's talk about something most people don't understand: spiritual jealousy. Regular jealousy is about wanting what someone else has. But spiritual jealousy, that's about resenting someone for what they are. When you're chosen, people don't just envy your achievements, they envy your peace. They don't just want your success, they resent your joy. They can't stand that you seem to have access to something they can't touch, can't buy, can't fake. And here's where I want you to really pay attention, because this next part is crucial. The attacks you've been experiencing aren't random. They're strategic. They're designed to make you doubt the very gifts that make you chosen. They attack your confidence because your confidence threatens their insecurity. They question your motives because your purity highlights their manipulation. They minimize your achievements because your success exposes their excuses. But here's what they don't understand. Every attack against a chosen one only serves to reveal who the attackers really are. The awakening process now. Some of you watching this might be thinking, but wait, I thought being spiritual meant everyone would love me. I thought being chosen meant life would be easier. Oh, sweet chosen one. Let me tell you something that might save you years of confusion. Being chosen doesn't make you universally loved. Being chosen makes you polarizing. People either gravitate toward your light or they run from it. There's rarely middle ground, and that's actually a blessing. Even though it doesn't always feel like one. Think about every great spiritual leader, every revolutionary, every person who changed the world. Were they universally loved? Or were they highly polarizing figures who inspired devotion in some and hatred in others? Jesus was polarizing. Gandhi was polarizing. Martin Luther King Jr. was polarizing. When you carry divine frequency, you force people to choose sides. You make them confront their own relationship with truth, with growth, with light. And not everyone is ready for that confrontation. The patterns you need to recognize this setup. Phase, let me walk you through the predictable pattern of how attacks against chosen ones unfold. Once you see this pattern, you'll recognize it immediately every time it happens. Phase 1. The honey trap. They start by getting close to you. They love bomb you, praise you, make you feel special. They want access to your energy, your ideas, your network. During this phase, you think you've found a genuine friend or ally. Phase 2. The study. Once they have access, they start studying you. They learn your vulnerabilities, your triggers, your fears. They pay attention to what makes you happy and what makes you doubt yourself. They're gathering ammunition. Phase 3. The subtle sabotage. Then the small attacks begin. Tiny comments designed to plant seeds of doubt. Little actions that undermine your confidence. They'll frame it as constructive criticism or just looking out for you. Phase 4. The escalation. When the subtle attacks don't break you, they escalate. The attacks become more direct, more public, more damaging. They'll recruit others to their cause, creating an echo chamber of negativity around you. Phase 5. The gaslighting. When you finally call them out, they make you the problem. You're too sensitive. You're paranoid. You're the one with issues. They flip the script and make you question your own reality. Now, I want you to think about a difficult relationship in your life. Can you see this pattern? Can you recognize these phases? If you can, drop a yes in the comments. Because recognition is the first step to freedom. The emotional manipulation tactics. Let me break down the specific tactics they use to try to break your spirit. Tactic 1. The comparison game. They constantly compare you to others, always highlighting how others are better in some way. They're trying to make you feel like you're not enough, like you need to prove yourself. Tactic 2. The moving goalpost. No matter what you achieve, it's never enough. They'll always find a reason why it doesn't count, why it's not impressive, why you still need to do more. Tactic 3. The false alliance. They'll pretend to be on your side while working against you. They'll say things like, "I'm only telling you this because I care," right before they tear you down. Tactic 4. The triggered response. They'll push your buttons intentionally, then point to your emotional reaction as proof that you're unstable or difficult. Tactic 5. The isolation strategy. They'll try to turn others against you by sharing concerns about your behavior, your attitude, or your character. But here's what I want you to understand. The fact that they have to use these tactics proves how powerful you are. If you weren't a threat to their false reality, they wouldn't need to work so hard to diminish you. The signs you're winning now. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Even when it feels like you're under attack, there are signs that you're actually winning this invisible war. Sign 1. The attacks are getting more desperate when people start using multiple tactics at once, when they start recruiting others, when they become more obvious in their attacks. That's desperation. That means their subtle methods aren't working on you anymore. Sign 2. New allies are appearing as the masks come off your attackers. New people start seeing the truth. Genuine supporters start emerging, often from unexpected places. Sign 3. Your intuition is getting stronger. You're starting to see through people faster. You're trusting your gut more. You're less easily manipulated. Sign 4. You're becoming more selective. You're no longer trying to win everyone over. You're starting to prioritize your energy and your peace. Sign 5. Your purpose is getting clearer. The attacks are actually clarifying what you're meant to do. They're showing you what threatens the status quo, which points you toward your true calling. If you're experiencing these signs, congratulations. You're not falling apart. You're falling into your power. The spiritual warfare are reality way beyond the physical realm now. We need to talk about something that might make some people uncomfortable, but it's a reality every chosen one needs to understand. There's a spiritual dimension to these attacks. When you're chosen, you're not just dealing with human jealousy or workplace politics. You're dealing with spiritual opposition. There are forces in the spiritual realm that are threatened by what you represent, by what you're destined to accomplish, and these forces work through people. This doesn't mean the people attacking you are evil. Most of them don't even realize they're being used. They just know they feel uncomfortable around you, threatened by you, compelled to diminish you. But understanding this spiritual dimension changes everything about how you respond. The armor you need when you understand that. This is spiritual warfare. You realize you need spiritual armor. You can't fight a spiritual battle with physical weapons. Weapon 1. Discernment. This is your ability to see beyond the surface, to recognize spirits and motivations, to understand what's really happening in any situation. Weapon 2. Boundaries. Not just physical boundaries, but energetic ones. Learning to protect your energy, your peace, your frequency from those who would drain or contaminate it. Weapon 3. Divine connection. Your relationship with the divine, however you understand it, is your ultimate protection. When you're plugged into source energy, no human attack can truly touch your core. Weapon 4. Truth. Your commitment to truth. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs you relationships, even when it makes you unpopular. Weapon 5. Patience. Understanding that this is a long game, that justice comes in divine timing, that your job is to stay faithful to your calling while the universe handles your enemies. The power of walking away. Here's something that will change your life. You have the power to simply walk away. You don't have to stay in toxic relationships. You don't have to prove yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you. You don't have to win over your haters. Walking away isn't giving up. Walking away is taking your power back. When you remove your energy from people who don't appreciate it, you make space for people who do. When you stop casting your pearls before swine, you preserve your pearls for those who recognize their value. I once knew a chosen one named David, who spent 3 years trying to prove himself to a group of colleagues who were clearly threatened by him. 3 years of trying to win them over, trying to make them see his value, trying to change their minds about him. Finally, he had enough. He left that environment and found a new one where his gifts were immediately recognized and celebrated. Within 6 months, he had achieved more than he had in the previous 3 years. Not because he changed, but because he stopped wasting his energy trying to grow flowers in toxic soil. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply remove yourself from the battlefield. The divine justice factor. Now, let me share something that might comfort you. You don't have to fight your own battles. When you're chosen, you have divine protection. That doesn't mean you'll never face attacks. It means you'll never face anything you can't handle. And you'll never fight alone. There's a justice system beyond human justice. There's a court higher than any earthly court. And when people attack chosen ones, they're not just dealing with you, they're dealing with whatever force chose you. I've watched attackers of chosen ones face consequences they never connected to their actions. I've seen their lies catch up with them, their schemes backfire, their own tactics turned against them. Not because the chosen one sought revenge, but because the universe has its own way of balancing scales. Your job isn't to ensure justice. Your job is to stay faithful to your calling while justice takes care of itself. Your response. Strategy. The high road response. Now that you understand what you're dealing with, let's talk about how to respond. Because your response determines whether these attacks make you stronger or break you down. Response 1. Don't take it personally. I know this is easier said than done, but remember, their behavior toward you says everything about them and nothing about you. You're just the mirror showing them what they don't want to see about themselves. Response 2. Document everything. Keep records of interactions, especially in professional settings. You're not being paranoid, you're being smart. Patterns of behavior are much clearer when you can see them on paper. Response 3. Build your support network. Surround yourself with people who see your value, who support your growth, who celebrate your victories. These people are your witnesses and your encouragement. Response 4. Stay connected to your purpose. The attacks are designed to distract you from your calling. Don't let them work. Stay focused on what you're meant to do, regardless of who opposes. Response 5. Maintain your integrity. Don't compromise your values to fight your attackers. Don't become what you're fighting against. Your integrity is your greatest weapon and your ultimate protection. The power moves, but beyond basic responses. There are power moves you can make that completely change the game. Power move 1. Radical. Self-investment. Instead of trying to prove yourself to others, invest in proving yourself to yourself. Take courses, develop skills. Build your confidence from the inside out. Power move 2. Strategic alliances. Connect with other chosen ones, other people who understand the journey, other people who can see what you see. Build a network of truth tellers and light bearers. Power move 3. Public excellence. Let your work speak for itself. Be so good at what you do that the attacks become obviously petty and jealous. Power move 4. Selective sharing. Stop sharing your dreams, your plans, your vulnerabilities with people who haven't earned that level of access to your inner world. Power move 5. Energy protection. Learn to shield your energy. Meditate, pray, practice grounding techniques. Protect your frequency like the precious resource it is. The transformation process. Here's what most chosen ones don't realize. These attacks are actually part of your development process. What if I told you that every attack against you is actually strengthening you? What if every person who tries to diminish you is actually forcing you to step more fully into your power? Think about it. Without opposition, you might have stayed small. Without attacks, you might never have learned to value yourself. Without haters, you might never have realized how threatening your light really is. The attacks aren't punishment, they're preparation. They're preparing you to handle the level of visibility and influence you're destined for. They're teaching you to stand firm in your truth even when it's unpopular. They're showing you who your real allies are and who was just pretending. Every chosen one who has ever walked this earth has faced opposition. The opposition proves you're on the right path, not the wrong one. The timeline of victory. Let me give you a timeline of what victory looks like for a chosen one. Phase 1. Recognition. Months 1 to 6. You start recognizing the patterns, understanding what's happening, seeing the game for what it is. Phase 2. Protection. Months 6 to 12. You start implementing boundaries, protecting your energy, becoming more selective with your time and attention. Phase 3. Separation. Year 1 to 2. You start removing yourself from toxic environments and relationships, even when it's difficult or costly. Phase 4. Elevation. Year 2 to 3. You start finding your tribe. Your purpose becomes clearer. Your confidence builds. Your gifts start flowing more freely. Phase 5. Manifestation. Year 3 plus. Your destiny starts unfolding. Your attacks turn to allies. Your haters become irrelevant. Your light shines so bright that only the right people can get close to it. If you're in the early phases, don't despair. If you're in the difficult middle phases, don't give up. Victory is coming, and it's going to be sweeter because of everything you've endured to get there. Signs. Your breakthrough is near the final test as we near the end of our time together. I want to share with you the signs that your breakthrough is imminent. Because for chosen ones, there's always a final test before the major breakthrough. Sign 1. The attacks become ridiculous. When the attacks against you become so over the top that even neutral observers start questioning your attackers, you're close to breakthrough. Sign 2. Unexpected doors open. Opportunities start presenting themselves from directions you never expected. People you've never met start reaching out with offers, invitations, collaborations. Sign 3. Your haters start copying you. The same people who criticized your choices start making similar choices. The people who mocked your path start walking a similar path. Sign 4, inner peace despite outer chaos. You find yourself feeling calm and centered, even when drama is swirling around you. The external attacks stop affecting your internal state. Sign 5, divine confirmations increase. You start receiving more signs, synchronicities, confirmations that you're on the right path and that your breakthrough is coming. The moment everything changes. Let me tell you what the breakthrough moment looks like for most chosen ones. It's rarely dramatic. It's usually quiet. You wake up one day and realize that the people who used to bother you don't even cross your mind anymore. The opinions that used to wound you bounce off like water off a duck's back. You look around and realize you're surrounded by people who see your value, who support your vision, who celebrate your growth. The toxic people have either changed their behavior toward you or they've simply faded from your reality. Your purpose is clear, your confidence is unshakable, and your light shines so bright that it attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones automatically. That's your destiny. Chosen one. That's where you're headed. That's what all of this struggle has been preparing you for. Your new reality in your new reality. You trust your intuition completely. You set boundaries without guilt. You walk away from toxicity without explanation. You invest your energy only where it's appreciated. You speak your truth without fear. You pursue your purpose without permission. You love yourself without condition. Can you see it? Can you feel it? Can you imagine what your life will look like when you're fully walking in your power as a chosen one? Because that's not just a fantasy, that's your future. And every attack you've survived, every lie you've endured, every betrayal you've overcome has been preparing you for that moment when you step fully into who you were always meant to be. Chosen ones, we've covered a lot of ground tonight. We've exposed the invisible war that's been raging around you. We've identified the tactics being used against you. We've given you the tools to protect yourself and the strategy to win. But now you have a choice to make. You can go back to trying to win over people who are fundamentally threatened by your existence. You can continue sacrificing your peace for people who don't deserve it. You can keep dimming your light to make others feel comfortable. You can choose to step fully into your power. You can choose to value yourself as much as the divine values you. You can choose to protect your energy like the precious resource it is. The choice is yours. But choose consciously. Choose deliberately. Choose knowing that your decision will determine whether you spend the next year growing or shrinking, rising or hiding. Your assignment, if you're ready to step into your power as a chosen one. Here's your assignment. Document your experiences. Start keeping a record of the patterns you've identified. This will help you trust your intuition and recognize these dynamics in the future. Audit your circle. Look honestly at the people in your life. Who supports your growth? Who drains your energy? Who celebrates your victories? Who minimizes your achievements? Start making conscious choices about who gets access to you. Invest in your growth. Take one concrete step this week toward developing your gifts, your skills, your confidence. Stop waiting for others to validate you. Start validating yourself. Practice energy protection. Whether through meditation, prayer, or whatever spiritual practice resonates with you. Start actively protecting your energy and your peace. Connect with your tribe. Seek out other chosen ones, other people who understand this journey. You weren't meant to walk this path alone. Chosen ones, remember this. The attacks against you are not evidence that you're on the wrong path. They're evidence that you're on the right one. The opposition you face is not punishment for your mistakes. It's preparation for your destiny. The people who work against you are not your true enemies. They're your unwitting trainers, preparing you to handle the level of power and influence you're destined to wield. You are chosen for a reason. You carry light for a purpose. You face opposition because what you represent threatens the darkness that some people prefer to live in, but darkness cannot overcome light. It never has, and it never will. Your time is coming, chosen one. Your breakthrough is near. Your victory is certain. Stay strong. Stay true. Stay chosen. If this message resonated with you, if you recognized yourself in these words, if you felt the truth of what we've discussed tonight, then I want you to do 3 things. Like this video to help other chosen ones find this message. Subscribe to this channel because we're building a community of awakened chosen ones who support each other's growth. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's been under attack. Someone who's been struggling to understand why they face so much opposition. Someone who needs to know they're not alone. Until next time, chosen ones, remember who you are. Remember why you're here, and never let anyone dim your light. You are powerful beyond measure, and it's time the world saw it.